Who wants another old Dodge video?
We are in the last few days of winter right now, so it's time to get the truck up and ready for spring. I'm gonna start using it for lawn care projects, other projects around the house, and frankly, I just kind of want to drive it to work because it's the perfect time of year to do that. We're gonna change the oil, we're gonna grease the front suspension and the driveline. I know that there is at least one leak. I think it's my manual transmission. So we're gonna check to make sure that that fluid is topped off. I might check to see if there's any air in my brake lines because I have a new tool that makes that really easy to do very quickly. For longtime fans of the old Dodge series, you're gonna wanna stay to the end of the video because I'm going to reveal a huge upgrade project on the old Dodge. That's what that mountain of parts behind the camera is for. It's going to be epic. It's something I've wanted to do for many years, and it's probably gonna be the biggest project I've ever done on this truck since buying it back in 2017. Parts and supplies for today's maintenance extravaganza are pretty basic, affordable, and self-explanatory. We have 10W30 synthetic blend high mileage oil from Haviland. We have Techron high mileage we'll use when we top off the gas tank later. We have a new Wix air filter and oil filter, 75W90 gear oil, which is what my manual transmission and the rear diff uses. Also as needed, we have Prestone coolant and brake fluid, and also my fancy pants lock and lube grease gun for greasing all of the U-joints and ball joints and that kind of thing. I'm gonna link to everything I'm using in the video down in the description, along with all the tools should you need to pick anything up to do this job yourself. What do you say we start with the oil change? Doing a quick visual inspection inside the engine bay, everything is looking pretty darn good. Coolant is to the max line, and that's only a couple years old, so coolant's gonna be fine for today. Upper and lower radiator hose all look great. No cracks, nothing like that. A couple years ago, I replaced this bypass hose down here. That almost burst. So if you wanna know how to replace that, I'll have a link in the description for that. One issue I had last year was this brake fluid reservoir, which I replaced. Looking down in there right now, the reservoir is full. I see some mild seepage around the valve cover gaskets and maybe the intake manifold. We might work on that soon, who can say?
I lifted the front and rear of the truck onto jack stands to make all the maintenance jobs easier, being sure that it was also level, so that all my fluid levels would be correct later on when I do the oil, manual transmission, and rear diff. To change the oil, remove the fill cap, then remove the drain plug with a 1/2-inch wrench or socket, draining all the old oil into a pan. Use an oil filter wrench to loosen the oil filter.
Shouldn't be that bad because I was the last person to do this oil change and I don't think I over-torqued that. Nope. Nice.
And then carefully remove it.
I've definitely never dropped it in the oil pan before. I've never done that.
No!
Wow, I'm a really cool dude. Anyway, I replaced the old leaking gasket on my drain plug, installed it, torquing it to 30 foot-pounds. The new Wix oil filter is a larger canister than most, so it will slightly increase my oil capacity. It's a great idea to write the date with a paint pen on the filter so you know for sure when it was last changed. I lubricated the O-ring with oil and filled it up about halfway with new oil. Thread on the new filter and only hand tighten.
There we go.
Pour in new oil until you read low on the dipstick. I then ran the engine for about 30 seconds checking for leaks. Then after a minute of sitting, I checked my oil level with the dipstick and added oil until it was just below the top mark on the dipstick. The stock oil capacity for my 360 cubic inch V8 is 5 quarts, but with that larger oil filter, I used just shy of 6. Let's move on to checking the fluid levels on my manual transmission and rear differential.
We are currently experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
To check the manual transmission fluid level, I removed the fill plug with a large adjustable wrench. Fluid slowly trickled out of the fill plug as it should, so I didn't need to add any more gear oil. If you'd like to see videos on doing a complete service on both and about my B&M rear diff cover, I'll have links to those videos in the description.
Yeah, I've got a bump on my head.
Anyway, the manual transmission and the rear diff fluid both look great. That's great because that means that that small leak that I'm noticing is kind of superficial, not a big deal, but I'm gonna keep an eye on it for sure. Let's move on to doing a brake fluid service, essentially a brake bleed. Probably not a full flush, but pretty much a flush. We're gonna start in the back, passenger side corner, then we'll do driver rear, and then passenger front, and then driver front. With this bleeder bottle with a built-in check valve, this is a very easy one-man job.
Before doing the brake fluid service, I needed to remove my wheels. This ended up being harder than expected. Best way to get them off? Give your tire a swift kick from behind, letting them fall onto a moving blanket. I'll address why this happened later in the video.
Woo! Yeah!
I used a fluid extractor to get all the old brake fluid out of the reservoir, and then filled it with new sealed .3 synthetic brake fluid from Prestone. Never use old brake fluid. For bleeding the brakes on most old trucks, you want to start in the passenger rear corner. Put the box end of your wrench on the bleeder plug and then secure the bleeder bottle to the nipple. You want the bleeder bottle hose to travel up and then down. Make sure it's secure so that the rubber cap doesn't fall off in the middle of the job. The bottle I'm using has an inline check valve that prevents air from getting into your brake lines during the bleeding process. This makes a one-man brake job very easy. If you don't want to trust the check valve, have an assistant pump the brakes while you monitor the bleeder hose, or use something to hold the brake pedal down while you check things, like a pry bar. I slowly pumped the brakes about 10 to 20 times, checking the reservoir and topping it off as needed, and repeated the process until all the bubbles were gone and the fluid appeared clean. I had a ton of air in my lines, likely from a brake fluid reservoir leak a year ago. I should have done this process right after discovering that. Once the fluid was clear and bubble-free, I closed the bleeder plug and repeated the process on the driver's side rear, and then the passenger front, and finished up on the driver front corner.
Excellent. All's well that ends well.
Hey, well, the brakes are done. The pedal feels much better than it did before. Very happy about that. Hey, by the way, the original shocks, the very first old Dodge video that I did, those shocks still look fantastic, so good on that. Okay, we can now move on to greasing our suspension components. I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna do the driveline after I put all the wheels back on, because to do the driveline U-joints, I have to crawl underneath the vehicle. Before greasing them, I'm gonna clean all the grease zerks. Awesome, everything is looking great for the most part. We've greased everything. We're gonna do the exact same process over on the passenger side, then we'll move to the drive lines. I also want to tease something that's probably 6 years in the making. Back in 2020, I did a full front end suspension rebuild video, which you can watch. It's one of my favorite old Dodge videos. In that, I ended up having to replace these upper control arms with aftermarket knockoffs, and I've never been happy with these. I have a rebuilt OEM set of upper control arms I bought from a guy on Facebook Marketplace. So we're gonna be installing those very soon, and I think it's gonna make this thing ride a lot better, and will finally fix an issue that I caused 6 years ago.
We now have guests. Huh, Tobus. Huh, Amy. You're so old, Tobus. You're such a scruffy good old man, Tobus.
I think he wants the comfier bed closer to me.
That's the shop bed. He wants the shop bed. Huh.
Before I put the wheels back on, as you saw, it was really hard to get these off. I'm gonna do two things to combat that. First off, I'm gonna use a die grinder and remove a little bit of the powder coat from the edge. So hopefully, if that was the issue, then that's fixed. And then also I'm gonna put a tiny little bit of anti-seize on the mating surfaces. So again, all the wheels don't get stuck. Because that was lame. Okay, with the wheels back on, we can now grease our U-joints. I wish it was a little bit easier, but it's not.
It's almost really easy. The one all the way in the front here, connecting to the transmission, is it has a regular grease zerk kind of deep inside. My lock and lube fitting will not fit in there, so I had to go get the old one, and then we can swap to the needle point grease fitting, which is actually just on the end of each of the U-joints in one spot. It's super easy to do all those.
I found a kit of adapters from Lock & Lube that will make greasing those U-joints much easier, and I'll link to it in the description. Last few steps for our spring overhaul. I took the truck to get fueled up, and you gotta love our awesome gas prices here in Washington. Also poured in some Techron high mileage to keep our carburetor clean. I gave the truck a wash at Central Washington Auto Spa and detailed it a bit. This truck cleans up so well. I absolutely love it. I was wrapping up this video, but realized I forgot to install the new Wix air filter and found a surprise.
Whoa, rat's nest! Ah! Bad, 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 bad. Mouse, you better not. You stop it. Bad, bad. I know a lot of you have been waiting to the very end, and this is the next big project coming on the old Dodge that I'm so excited to tell you about. In collaboration with Holley Performance, we are doing a full Sniper EFI conversion on this truck. And we're not just doing part of it, we're going full all the way. We're doing the throttle body, ECU, intake manifold, fuel pump, distributor, and even a full new gas tank, steel gas tank, to make this truck start, run, and drive down the road, kind of like a modern truck, but with all of the awesome classic truck qualities that the old Dodge has. I cannot be more excited about this, and we're gonna be filming it here in the spring, so it should be coming out late spring, early summer. Cannot wait to share that with you. Lots of boxes to open, lots of work to do. Whew, I got my work cut out for me. So stay tuned for that and a ton of other automotive, classic truck, new truck. Last year was just Tacoma 4Runner, Tacoma 4Runner, Tacoma 4Runner. There's gonna be more of that too, but I wanna sneak in the old stuff too because I love it and I know you love it too. All right guys, thank you so much. Until next time, God bless all of you. Don't forget to do it yourself.